really think leadership is leadership. You apply it to SWAT, policing, family. It's all really the same principles. And the more cups or the more people you can learn little tips and tricks from, the better. Because you don't coach you just said your son, your daughter, they're not coached the same, parented the same, right?
Yeah.
And I have 2 boys within 18 months of each other, and I don't parent them the same. You should not parent or coach your employees the same, because they're all different people. You got to find what makes them tick and make it work, because your job as leaders to maximize their potential. That's it.
What's up, everyone? We are on episode 9 of Onsite the Podcast, and today we've got a special guest. His name is Tony. Him and I had connected through another educator within the community a couple months ago, and he has been inside the community on Contractor Connect Live, shared a little bit about his journey, and I'm super excited to have you on today. Tony, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Okay. Thanks for having me. First of all, it's been kind of cool. We didn't know each other a month ago, and now I feel like I talk to you every single day, and we're not even in the same line of business. But I think we cross over so much. It's like we kind of mutually respect and kind of appreciate each other's opinions. It's been cool. So anyway, I'm Tony Smith. I do live in Windsor, Ontario, just across from Detroit, and I'm a former SWAT team leader. I spent 20 years almost in policing. And towards the end of that, kind of started a little gym in my garage, and it morphed into something bigger and badder. And my wife was a cop at the time too, and we decided first she quit, gave up her $100,000 salary to start running the business. And I heard you say something about in one of the calls or one of your screenshots there about laser focus. So when she quit policing and focused strictly on the gym, we saw a 30% increase in business immediately. And we were able to open a second facility. And long story short, I broke my ankle at work. And I was now running the business more than being at work, because I obviously couldn't be a cop with a broken ankle. And I was like, man, even on a broken ankle, I like being here better than I like being at the police department. And, I decided to go all in and give up my salary and pension and everything. And same thing happened. 100% focus, went to the gym, and we just kept growing and growing ever since. And then, it kind of morphed into me doing this coaching and the mental performance stuff that I do. All the SWAT stuff kind of came back around, and I was able to get in front of a lot of different crowds. And this truly is where my passion still lies, in leadership and mindset. And the gym's really built on that. And I think that's why we caught on. So, that's a real long, probably 20-year story I told in 5 minutes, but that's in a nutshell who I am.
No, and dude, the crazy part is 20 years in any industry is a long time, right? And what I've learned about my time in my industry was that at some point you start to visualize the beginning part of that journey, you start revisualizing your beginning of that journey. And I think that's when, for me anyway, that's when the coaching really became visible for me as my next kind of journey, when I started reliving my early days, where it's just like, oh, if I would have known this, if I would have understood this, if I could have done this, I really started to focus on, and I'm going to just try and help some people. And then once you start helping people, it just becomes this wild experience. And I don't know specifically what it's like for you, because we'll dive into that a little bit more. And I want to hear about the coaching. But 20 years in a very high demanding mental, physical space for a long time. You've seen things that most would never seen in their lives. So many people have never seen in their lives, for sure. And then translating that into coaching, I'm just curious, what do you pull from to build out kind of your roadmap for your coaching?
Yeah, so what I pull from for the coaching, that's a good question. And yeah, you know what, you did see a lot of things, a lot of terrible things. Unfortunately, you know what, I used to wear those as almost like a scar. I used to let it bother me, but now I wear it like a badge of honor, because I think police officers, firefighters, nurses, paramedics, they're doing all these things so that good, normal people don't have to see it and don't have to even know it exists. I think so. I used to get so frustrated thinking nobody understands what I'm doing. And then, as I've gotten older, and you say about what I wish I would have known, is that I should have, every time somebody said oh, it's not busy in Canada, what do they even need a SWAT team for? I should have taken that as an honor. Hey, we're doing such a great job that these nice, normal people at this party have no idea what we fucking do. They have no idea this even exists, because we do keep hell at bay, for lack of a better word. And then to apply that now to the coaching, I'm able to, because we're in such terrible situations and real high stress, I'm able to apply a great deal of perspective. I had somebody talking about, vengeance. They were really upset about a bad business deal or something, and not to get into it and blow their cover, but they were really into, they were talking a lot about vengeance and wanting to do paybacks, and not physical harm or anything, but, just wishing ill on somebody else. And I'm like, you know what, man, I saw my friend was shot and killed, and I saw him, and we exacted a lot of vengeance, and it didn't fix anything. It didn't make me feel better. It didn't bring him back. It didn't stop the criminals from committing crime, and so I'm able to lend a perspective that maybe other people just don't have at a level that maybe people don't have. And that way you can be like, oh, you know what, this $100,000 we lost here isn't so bad when you're talking about a life lost. So I think that's kind of where I lean into a lot, and how I dealt with stress and how I continue to deal with stress, and admitting the things that really got me. I had a problem with alcohol, I had a problem with PTSD, and all those things, they beat me up, but they got me to where I am as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Oh, sorry about your friend there. I didn't know about that. And that's what's crazy about a time together. We met not that long ago. And these are things that we're just learning about each other, which is, it's a pretty significant thing to lose somebody that's close to you like that. And so, and that's really what it comes down to. I think even for me, I haven't lost anyone. I haven't been in direct, collateral like that, or whatever you want to call it. But there is hard shit that we all go through in some point in our life. And we can either use that as, vengeance, like you say, or a fuel to kind of guide us through motivating other people through whatever challenges they may be going through. So it's horrible that happened to your friend and his family, and to you. But it's a tool like that, unfortunately, that gives us another tool to do what we're able to do right now. So I think that's awesome that you're doing this for people. And I think that it's awesome that you're pursuing the coaching, because that's something I never had. When I was younger, I never had a coach. My dad wasn't in my life, even though he was 20 minutes away, which would have been super simple to be a part of my life. He was not in my life. And so I didn't, all I had was mentors and grandfathers and uncles and that kind of stuff in my life. And, to have a mentor like you, what are the type of people that you're currently coaching? Who are you working with?
I work with a lot of, working mostly dads, to be honest with you, right? Yeah, dads for sure, that kind of fit the same profile. So dads that are entrepreneurs or work within a business where they hold a significant leadership role, maybe not CEO, but maybe the next under, running a team of operational team is, a few people in the greenhouses, a few people in the auto industry. So, different roles like that, and the balance that is forced to create between. And I know when we were on our call, I think I mentioned, I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think it all comes from the same cup, and that we need to make sure that cup is as full as possible, because we have to pour it out when we go to work. And if you don't pour it out at work, for you and I work for each other, work for ourselves, it's very important. But also, man, if you're not pouring it out at work, you're not going to climb the ladder. If you work in a job where you're not the boss, or you're not an entrepreneur, and you're not going to, excel at all those things. So I really believe in that, and really spreading that out, and how you can label that and not I can't say that word at all. Compartmental. How do you say that stupid word? I can never get it right.
Compartmentalize.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay. And, how you can do that, so that you're able to 100% focus on a conversation you and I are having, but with people that really matter in your life, like you said, your mentors, or your son, your daughter, your brother, your wife, whatever that is, so that we can have these conversations and straight up. And that's what I honestly love about the podcast too. I know you said you're on your episode 9 here. It's there's not very many times in your life when you shut the lights off all around you, and you get on a call and you just stare at somebody else in the eye, and you just talk straight up for 45 minutes. It's I think that's the best part of the podcast. And that's what I try to teach dudes to do with their wives and with their kids.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that, man. And I think you're making a huge impact. I think what you're doing is, so needed. And even I am very involved with my kids. specifically also with my son and my daughter in different ways for different reasons. But, you know, because I didn't have that father figure in my life, it's taught me that even just me for my kids is not enough necessarily. And I'm trying to link them up with some type of additional mentor, just to give them another fresh, you know, output or input, I guess, so to speak. You know, my son's 17, just getting kind of into the workforce, still just finishing grade 11, but at some point he'll be in the workforce in some way. And he's taken a passion. You've got 2 kids, right?
Yeah, two boys, 10 and 12.
How old are you? 10 and 12. Cool. Yeah. So my son's 17 and he's just venturing into the workforce here, and he just got his job. He just got an accepted offer on a position. So he's going to be a steel fabricator, which is wild because he's still in grade 11. But he did this like welding course in high school, did really good. And then I was like, take that and go get a job. Like, take the things that you learned and go get a job in like a really hard job, like something that'll really challenge you. And I mean, you'll get the job if you show them the work that you did. And so he did. He ended up getting this steel fabricating job. But what's really cool, you know, about the mentorship and the coaching and stuff is that like somebody now in that position, in that job, will mentor him, right, through his work future, whatever that looks like for him. And what's cool is now my position with him will change just a little bit. You know, I'll be trying to support him and trying to encourage him to push forward. And so it's just a different journey. Your kids are at a different age. My daughter is 13, and she always laughs at me because I always fumble her age. But you know, they need different things, and the older version needs these other different things. And coaching is so profound to me now that I understand it to be so needed for everyone, you know, for you, for me, for everyone. And so at some point in my son's career, as soon as possible, I'm going to heavily encourage him to invest in coaching with someone. I can be the greatest dad on planet Earth, but to have somebody hyper focused on everything about you, like I'm focused on my kids, don't get me wrong, but a coach, like even you being a coach for the people that you're working with or that you're working for, your goal is to transform them, really. You know, whatever their goal is, that's your goal. And you know, it's a universally beneficial situation for both people. You know, I've been coaching for just over a year, and how long have you been doing it? I'm just over a year and a half right now.
Yeah, I'm around the same officially, you know. I feel like I've been doing it unofficially for a while, but yeah, officially when I moved into this business more, yeah, for sure. Unofficially 20 years, or 15 officially. Or 10 or whatever. Then officially, you know, the past year and a half. And so I noticed now that I leaned into it full time though, it's really starting to get good. Like, you're really starting to pull on your previous experiences and your previous things that you're going through to really help transform people. And that's why I love the industry that you and I are both in. I think it's so impactful. And I think we come from different places. I think we pull our strategy, I guess, from different places. And I think that's, you know, it's really unique and it's special, and it's so needed. I'm gassing us both up here a little bit right now. But I really believe in it. I think it's so necessary. And, you know, and you know, as your kids grow up, I think you'll probably see that same understanding where you value what you're doing so much for the other person, right? They have parents, the other people that you work for, potentially they have parents that they've grown up with. And at some point they decided that they needed another voice in their life, being you or me. And as soon as that voice enters, it just starts to change things. And so, you know, I really want my kids to experience that same thing earlier on. I know how much coaching is done for so many people that I'm working with right now, but I really want my kids to understand how impactful it can be for them to really get involved. I know Dan Martell is doing a little bit of, you know, his King's community, I think it's called, and it's only in Kelowna, which is not, you know, ideal. I tried to get my son in it,
they do like a periodic Facebook group. It's not really, you know, it's not dialed for kids. And I think that, I mean, it is for if they're there, but it isn't if you're online, right? If you're anywhere in the world. And,
Yeah.
I've been looking for him specifically to find some type of online space that he can be surrounded by like-minded people with a mentor that's really trying to drive the bus. So, you know, food for thought.
Yeah.
Not that you're
No. I mean, we've always thought of running. Used to do these pretty like extreme camps, and it was awesome for dudes. And we've always talked about doing that, a father and son like together one.
Oh, cool.
Like,
yeah.
You and your son would come together and do these challenges and build you together. And I think like everything you said, there's so much to unpack. I don't think there's ever a point where I didn't really have a coach or mentor, you know, like through sports. I know that happens naturally, but I think also at the police department, the paramilitary structure of it, there's always somebody senior to you, you know, that had so much more experience doing the gun raid, the drug raid, the simple arrest, even, that there was always somebody there taking a lot of like time to teach you, to guide you, and you know, for the good and the bad, because there was a lot of like cops, and I'm not saying bad in terms of like doing illegal things. I just mean bad in terms of like, you know, that's fucking probably not the best way to do that thing. You know, that's not the safest way, or the most, you know, supportive way, whatever, empathetic way. So there's a lot of things that you can take from bad leaders as well. And I think what you and I do, and like a lot of the value that we're going to offer, you know, when we do some of these things together, and I know it's you do it on your own, and I think I do it on my own too, is coming in and talking about like essentially the people that you coach, that I coach, and maybe even more so in yours, because you are coaching like a lot of entrepreneurs and contractors, is like they're now going to take what you or I or anybody teaches them and apply it to the person they're coaching, which is their teammates, their employees, their kids. Because it's not that different. Like you want to, for my son, and I'm sure you feel the same, I want them to be better than me. You know, I want them to teach them so much that they've absorbed everything I've got, and they got to go get the next level. And like for you, you're not a fabricator, so somebody's going to have to know more than you, and you want to expose them to it. And whatever that is, whatever that passion is for them, it's like, we want to feed you as much as you can and like have you surpass us. And in turn, you create more leaders. And I think that's where the impact from people like us and the people who mentored us as well happens. It's like that ripple. Right. It's like from you to the guy, my employee sitting over there, to the next, to the, you know, the kids that he coaches. And that's a huge ripple. I take great pride in that. I really think that we are really doing the same thing from different strategies, but I really think leadership is leadership. You apply it to SWAT, policing, family. It's all really the same principles, and the more cups or the more people you can learn little tips and tricks from, the better. Because you don't coach you just said your son, your daughter, they're not coached the same, parented the same, right? Yeah. And I have two boys within 18 months of each other, and I don't parent them the same. You know, you should not parent or coach your employees the same, because they're all different people. You got to find what makes them tick and make it work, because your job as leaders to maximize their potential. That's it.
You know, and so, not that I'm trying to sewer my son here by any means, but it's fine. Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's got thick skin. No, but like, so I have so much to give, right? All the time, and I'm like a very, very giving person. That's why I kind of got into this coaching space. I really want to, you know, deliver value, and I mean. My biggest hurdle right now with just everyone, not everyone, but selective people, is that I know that I can help some people. I know that I can give a lot of value to people. I know that I can share a lot of insight with my son, or other people. I'm just using my son as a marker. You know, quite often we'll sit down and we'll chat a little bit, and I'll be like, hey, like I can share a little bit insight of this and that, and I feel like 50% of it goes in one ear and 50% of it goes in the other ear, you know. And
I think that's father son, man, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. And that's why I think a coach would be a little bit better for him too, because then it's not always just dad saying this shit, and he'd be like, oh, like he was actually right. Like these are things. But I notice him like applying some of the stuff that I've taught him, that I've thought has gone in one ear and out the other, I noticed him applying it, and I was like, oh, so you were listening, you little shit. But what I'm getting at is that, dude, like contractors a lot of times have a big ego, in front of them, and they struggle with getting out of their own way. And so there are times where a person will reach out to me, ask for some support and guidance, a little bit of help, and then they will, and then what they will like just shut down. They won't ask questions, and I'm trying to like crack into them, and I'm like trying to softly enter into their space, trying to help them through whatever, and it feels very similar to my son at times, where I'm like, you have to want this, dude. And sometimes these people that really need the help don't want it, and trying to find, because everybody needs it in some way, shape, or form. And what my question here, I guess, is like, what do you do when there's somebody there that you can help, but they're choosing to like just be disconnected from whatever it is that you're trying to help them with?
Yeah, so that's a funny you bring that up, because this is a conversation I was having last week. So with a lot of the business and the like the guys who I say who are in leadership roles that I have calls with today, even they're there because they're making their business. That one's really clean and cut and easy for me to do. Leadership, communication, we can problem solve. But the other half of my coaching business is really geared towards dads who want to make changes in their lives, who need a nudge to take action, right? And try marketing to people who don't take action. You're like, I'm basically trying to like, hey, you need action, but you've never taken action in your life. Come and take some action. Like, it's like, that's the challenge. But once I just feel like once you can get them those first couple of wins, if I can just push them far enough, like one win is just for that market is just signing up to do something that really makes you uncomfortable. But then from there, to take your question, how do I work with those guys from that point, is like, I just work on getting one win. And then it's like, now let's start to stack. It's like stack wins. Yeah. And we want to get on that. And I think in your market, like my best friend, actually, I'm trying to get him to come on this on the summit. Right?
I think it's chatting with, there's a gentleman I'm chatting with in the DMs. I don't recall his name, but he followed me after you shared that. And
oh, really?
He's in construction. Yeah. He said he's working with you. So I'm assuming that's the same guy.
Oh, no, I don't think so, but maybe. But yeah, and I know, okay, like, maybe there's two. I think one of the reasons guys get into this girls get into this contract is like you're walking on this mess around you, and you want to be like, why can't I just be in control of this, right? So it's like that type of person who just feels like they can take charge and do, and then it's like now they get into this coaching program and are like, well, I'm in charge of this, or they just take so much on that they don't leave enough. So I think we all got to do a better job of booking time that is absolutely for self-growth. Like, I said, booking time for your fitness, booking time for your family, and booking time for just you, whether that's like meditation or walking or reading or getting on a contractor, elite builder call or something similar in my industry. And I think like we don't do enough job, and then we don't protect it well enough. Like, I think we're too quick to give away the things that are the most important. We're too quick to be like, oh no, you know what? I just gotta go pick up this 10 sheets of drywall now. Like, you know what? Fuck, you don't. There's something less important in your day that you could cut out than the 30 minutes of learning that you're about to do. Because I think we do a shit job of that.
For me, being in construction for so long, I understood my position in that. It took me a little bit to get to that point. That's why I coach people about their position in it. And now as I enter into the coaching, I find myself doing the same shit that I did in my early stages of construction, where I'm doing a bunch of things that I probably shouldn't do in the coaching space, where it's like, not taking care of my health the way I should be, need to go to the gym more frequently, not making time for it, which is things that I'm consciously aware of. And I'm like overdoing coaching, almost like I'm over available, which I really love, because I'm trying to support the people that I'm working with, but I'm also so involved with it, which is, unsustainable at some point. Like as we continue to grow, I can't be the answer to everybody's problems. But right now, that's what I'm focused on, is helping people with their wins. And the people that want the help are the people that I'm diving all in for. So somehow, some way, I'm sacrificing the things that I know I shouldn't, like my fitness or, my health in that sense. And it drives me fucking nuts. And I'm consciously aware of it, which is, I think, the first thing. The second thing is like treating an activation and actually doing it. And I know I'm close to that point. I'm getting more comfortable with separating my space in the coaching with my, my things that I need. But no, man, it's been a journey for sure. I love what I'm doing right now. It's just different growing pains in different directions.
Yeah, it always feels like that with all this business stuff. It's like you get so busy and overwhelmed, and then you're like, the next step of some of that delegation is intimidating, investment wise, control wise. It's always the struggle with me too, and I've done it too fast, sometimes at fault too, and sometimes I just, like you, like I ignore some of the things that really, that really are good are great for me, like my planning and my processes of planning that I've been using since I was on the SWAT. I think that's one of the things I do really well. And my wife, when I'm like super stressed out, she's like, I haven't seen you do your nightly planning once, in the last while. And you're like, shut up. Like, yeah. I know. And that's why I'm struggling. That's why I'm not staying on top of things. Or, you went out for your walk the other day. I saw it on your video, you probably felt a million times better when you got back from the walk. Did it physically help you that much? I don't know, maybe. But like mentally, it probably really helped you to get out in the sunlight and just go out and walk.
Yeah, no, the mindset thing, it really was, for me, like, and you said it yourself too, like you're in a different transitional period of your business as well in this new business. And there are things that your old business really carried you that you're teaching other people. Right. And so because you're so focused and, on this delivery mechanism that we're sharing with other people, we forget about our own shit sometimes. And we're just like, fuck, like, I know how important, an hour of physical fitness is. I know how important it is. It's crazy. It's crazy how important it is. I've seen it transform people's lives, including myself. It was about maybe, I don't know, well, when I went through my divorce, which would have been almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe wasn't in like the greatest position, headspace, everything like that. But I just focused on the gym, and I was there for like hours a day, and I became psychotic with it. And then I noted, well, I just put everything into that. I had a few other things that I was, focusing some energy on within business, but I still made time for it. And it really transforms your clarity, your mental clarity. And I was at my best peak. And so whenever I connect, physical endurance or fitness or anything like that, it's always connected to my peak performance is surrounded by doing, the non-negotiable things that I'm currently negotiating, which drives me absolutely bonkers. So,
but I think that's what makes you a good leader, and myself included. It's like there is that, like, hey, I'm not, like, I need to practice when I preach a little bit more too. And there is the admitting that, like, I think that's what attracts people to listening to you talk. And I would like to believe the same for myself, is that, like, we're able to say, like, hey, like, I screwed this up. I screwed this up yesterday. I learned this lesson 6 months ago, and it just just kicked me in the nuts yesterday again, because I just made the same stupid mistake. Right. And it's like, I think there's so much to be said for that. And I think, again, with the type of people that, the business folks that I'm coaching, or the contracts you are, like, they're so proud. And sometimes that's a struggle to even admit that there is a wrongful habit or a negative habit or some negative time that's being wasted. It's like having the vulnerability to the self-awareness to accept that and just say, like, hey, this is where I need to improve. These are where the leaks are. How can I plug them? I think that's where where people really want help, and people are really going to grow and are going to get it.
Yeah, I think you have to really be consciously aware of all the things around you. Like, I'm consciously aware of the situation, the things that I need to improve on. And I really encourage, my son, and I'm using him a little bit, maybe too much in this whole thing, but I've always told him, just own everything that happens. Just own it. Just be honest with yourself. Never, like, tell yourself that that's not the case. You know what I mean? Because then you become delusional. to the reality. And so those are some of the things that I teach some of the contractors that I work with. It's like, whatever's happening is happening. It's fine. It's already happened. And your job right now is to move forward with an understanding of what has happened and what needs to happen in order to move forward properly, in a more direct manner that can provide you or, get you closer to the goals that you're trying to get. So, your wife, you mentioned one thing here, and I just want to go back to this about the laser focused. You had mentioned that when she quit, went into the business, focused on it, everything increased by like 30%. And then you got injured, also went to the business. And now, did you notice like an increase as well in that moment where you were even though you're injured, did you see another peak, like spike in the business as well? Or was it just like fulfillment for you that gave you that, that
no, there was a spike. There was a spike, and there's two. If we went and if I pulled up a spreadsheet of financials here or of memberships, you would see, you could pick out where we quit. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
You can just see there's where Danny, my wife Danny, quit. You can just see it go here, and then it's still growing, but it's not growing at the same accelerant after 90 days or so.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost the same as a gym. You start working out really hard, 90 days, you're going to see such improvement, and then it's going to steady out until you do something different. Then you can see another spike. And then again, you'll see it about a year and a half later when I quit and just before I quit, because that was the time where there was about 6 months before I actually quit. And before I decided I was quitting, when I had my broken ankle, which was basically I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of this. This is the date that I'm going to end. I think that's what people need to do a little bit more of too. And that was a lesson I got from funny business coaches that I was with, friends that were business coaches that we had the relationship of coach, but until I started paying them, I don't think I take them as seriously as I should have. So we made the decision as we're friends, man. We're fucking friends. I'll do anything for you, but I need to pay you for this service and you need to charge me for this service. And that was an agreement we made. And so I got with these guys, and I remember I was in a cab with them coming back from something they had just put on, and said to them, July 1st is the day. So it was Canada Day. Basically, I'm out of here. And that was
coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah, I'm coming up on, I think, 7 years or 6 years. I lose track. Like you said, it's these chapters of your life that are just 20 years. It was such a long time and a great period of my life, and I loved it. Please don't only listen to this thing, get me wrong. I loved that job. I don't think I would still love it. I think people who were there and felt like they were making a difference might not feel that way, but that's for a whole other podcast. But I loved that job, but at some point, it just doesn't even feel like I did it anymore. It's just so far gone. And the gym was the same way. The first time you and I got on a call together, you were asking me about my background, and you even said to me, well, if you want this coaching thing to work, you're going to have to focus on it. Then I'm like, yeah, shut up. I know. And that's it's funny because that's a lesson I know, but you said it, and I'm like, oh, the guy's freaking right. It doesn't matter if he coaches contractors or speakers or gym trainers or cops. If you put your energy and your laser, your sights on one target, you're going to start to hit it a lot more often.
Well, when I was, this is several years ago, but I got this crazy light coming from the side. It's wild. Look how bright that is.
Yeah, it's like you're going to be pulled away into the
yeah, the vortex. No, this is the sunlight. No, when I first got into business, I became addicted to it, serial entrepreneur addicted.
I thought you said I became a dick. I'm like, well, no. Okay, that's well,
I might have been. Some people might call me that. That's fine. No, but I became addicted to it, and I became a bit of a serial entrepreneur, and I had so many different businesses going on. At one point, I think I had 4 or 5 different businesses. And some of them were doing great. Some of them were doing okay. Some of them were doing nothing. And then at some point I looked at my surroundings and I kind of stacked things next to each other. And I was like, fuck, this is just too much. It's too many things. And I just got rid of everything. I just got rid of everything. And I just focused on one thing. And immediately, as soon as I focused on it, it exploded. It literally exploded. And to go to the point where, your wife had quit and then things, increased and then it flatlines, because it does flatline as well. You have to continue to do things to increase it or improve it. And then you quit and then it spiked again. And then probably at some point, potentially is at a flatline not necessarily now, but it'll be in a position where it's, hit a flat line again, where you have to do something different again. But once you're laser focused on whatever it is that you're doing, it really starts to transform in front of you. And I think, again, it comes back to, what I was mentioning earlier. We have to be consciously aware of this shit. This is what really separates, people, is the people that are so consciously aware of things that are moving in front of them that they can almost watch them happen before, even if it's just like, a movement or a presence or whatever. You're so consciously aware of these things taking place. And I can see it even within the coaching. Like, we're moving ridiculously fast, in my opinion. We've been coaching for just over a year and a half. We're putting together a summit in Calgary, and this may have aired after the summit or before, just before. But I've been told it's crazy to try and do this. And I just kind of didn't really listen to that stuff. I was just like, oh, you know what? Everything I do is a little bit crazy at times.
I'm crazy. Who cares?
Yeah, that's just part of the business. I feel
like everybody, like if you've had some success, you've been told you're crazy. You have to yourself. Like, yeah, maybe I am a bit too crazy. At a certain point, and like, man, the truth is, you asked when I started coaching. The truth for everybody listening, like, is that, and the lesson that you just said is, I really 4 years ago almost basically stepped away from the gyms. I have 3 gyms now, and they do pretty good. But I'm a big part of it, and I'm also a wage in it, right? So I stepped away pretty much and went all in on this coaching and lead in, and I actually was doing very well. But the gym started to suffer, and proving that the gym was not built, the systems, the culture, my absence, well, it wasn't ready to sustain that. And I had to say the same thing you said. It's like, well, hold on a second. Like, that's still what my salary, so to speak. That's still the bread that keeps my family, fed. And I had to say, like, whoa, hold on a second. Like, what is the problem? And if you want to say, like, I could say, oh, it was the employees that I left in charge. I could say it was it was this, it was that, it was the members, it was post-COVID. You can make all that. But when I actually say, like, hey, what's the problem? Well, I'm the problem. Why am I the problem? Because I'm not there. So clearly I didn't build it good enough or strong enough, or put all my things in place. So I need to go back and make sure I can do that. And now, as I sit and I see my facility leaders, sitting in here doing their office work and killing it and making sales for the gym when I'm not here, it's like, okay, now it's there. Now I can start to lean back into this, test the waters again. But in 6 months, if it's not, the coaching isn't working or the gym isn't working, it's my fault. And then it's mine and mine only. If it starts there, then you're going to actually make some difference in your life. But if you want to cast that blame, there's no chance. The absolute fatality of leadership comes with indecision and blame.
Right. One of the things that I always, just maybe not recently, but I've been doing, but now I'm super focused on it, because as business owners, we need people around us. That's the only way to grow our business, right? We need to have great people around us, but we also have to have great systems, right? And so those two things really have to work together. And so whenever I'm considering placing an opinion on someone or on some situation or on something, I pause for a second and I evaluate the situation, and I look at it like, do we have a systems problem? Or do we have a people problem? Because you can have still people problem. People can still suck, right?
Oh,
but we can also have systems that we've self-created that are making these people suck.
But right? You also put the person in a position to suck, so you have to own that too. Like, it might be the person that left running it, but I put them there. So
but sometimes, like, for me, I let people show, like, not everybody can present themselves in a way that they can be well received necessarily, or accepted, or appreciated, or understood, or heard, or valued. People just sometimes suck at initial 5-minute thing, and I don't ever really want to judge people on that first transactional position. If I can see a little bit of value there, if I can see a little bit of a superpower, I'll lean into it a little bit. But what I've learned recently is, as these people come into my life, the good, the great, the shit, the amazing, that we work with directly, I always quickly evaluate, do I have a people problem or systems problem? In that situation, was the failure of whatever it is related to one or the other? And if I can tie it back, it almost always can tie it back to a system. I didn't give them all the tools. Okay, you didn't have this. Okay, you didn't have this. Okay, you didn't have this. I have now given you everything to do it, and you still aren't doing it. So that's where we start to now evaluate that we have a people problem at that point, because I've given you every system, I've given you every tool, I've reviewed everything that we're working on, and it's not that I'm giving somebody 20 different chances. What I'm actually trying to do is, because if you don't stay in that position, somebody wants that position, right? Somebody always wants to help us grow our business. There are always so many number twos, number threes, number fours out there. Your systems that you're creating as you build even your business right now, they're going to change to the person that they're working alongside as one part, but they're also going to they're going to be the placeholders for the next person. So I always love building systems. I love building people too, and I only want to work with people that want to work with me. But if I have a great fucking system, a great strategy, a great roadmap, and I give it to the next person, right? And we immediately click, and immediately everything starts to work. You can then immediately identify that you had a people problem in that point. And that's back to what we talked about earlier, where it's like getting people motivated to get coached, getting people to motivated to like fucking do something. I find that generally those people that lack motivation or lack, that thirst generally are the people that have people problems. Unfortunately, they don't receive the systems, which is a coaching roadmap essentially, and I don't know where I was going with this and why I was going down that direction, but that's just a little bit of insight or input that I have on those situations. I know that you're building your business, it's growing. I'm building my business, it's growing. And I think the biggest thing that we can really hyper focus on is those systems, and making sure that they're dialed. The right people will fall into place when they're ready to come into your life. I've been really fortunate. I've had some really, and I'm so consciously aware of this shit. I've had some really important people come into my life over the past 2 decades, and they've really helped me kind of go down that path where it's like they're helping me, kind of find my roadmap and find my direction. And that's been really helpful. In your life, you mentioned you had mentors and different things in your life. Is there like a few people specifically that you feel, just made or just one person in particular, other than your wife, that, made just a significant directional path for you, good or bad? I mean, I don't really like to talk negative on here, but, is there somebody in your life that helped with some direction there?
Yeah, for 100% there is. I mean, I'll exclude my father. My father for sure was a huge part of that. But like, let's say as we're talking about more guys who are in our late 20s and 30s, I think there was 2 or 3 team leaders, SWAT team leaders. And I remember this guy in particular coming in, Heat is his name, we call him. And he comes in, and I remember him coming in their uniform, and I was in patrol, and I was maybe a couple months on, and they came in to deliver a briefing. And the control that he took over the room, the presence that he had, and even though he was a muscle bound, like I think that's where SWAT guys, get their bad reputation sometimes. Like the initial judgment is like, look at this guy. He doesn't need to be articulate. He doesn't need to be empathetic. He doesn't need to include everybody. The way that he spoke, the way he articulated stuff, the way he led, that to me was like, I'm like, I need to, this is what I want to do. I knew at that moment that was the only thing I wanted to do with that police service, which is one of the other reasons I'm gone. I did everything I wanted to do there. I had no more goals. I had already done it, and they'd removed me for, tenure. And that's a long story, but it was like, I've already kind of met everything I want to do there. I wanted to be like that guy. And I was able to, then work on the teams with that guy and a couple of others in his position. And I just learned so much about not just how to do gun raids and all that exciting stuff, but how to, more importantly, manage 18 freaking type A dudes full of testosterone that are also smashing doors and chasing after the baddest of the bad. And then going out and getting into their own life issues. And, it was like learning that was just integral to, I think, how I now run this business in this gym. And I told you, I think I said on that call that I did with you guys, that right from the newest person who joins this gym, it's like almost like they work for me, like that they're part of our team. And that's why I think we have they say 30 to 50% is like a good member churn in my industry. And we're at 3 freaking percent.
Right.
Like, and that's the thing I'm proudest of. And I think if I was going to give credit to anybody, indirect credit for that, it would be, first and foremost my father, and then the team leaders that I kind of served under, and the teammates. Because same as you're coaching your teammates in my position. Once I became a team leader, you are doing a lot of mentorship to that. But man, I learned so much back from them. And I sure on your calls, I know my coaching calls that I got later today, I learned so much from them too, because they have experiences that I haven't experienced. And I'm sure you feel the same sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I do grow and evolve each and every call that I'm on with everyone. Some of them are very similar. Some of them are very unique and different and special. And, and I want to touch before we wrap this up, but I'm not like super, super spiritual. I'm not like a big, you're not going to hear me like, praise Jesus or anything like that, but it is so crazy. So that you met this guy, right? He's up there. He caught your attention. He grabbed your space. He grabbed your head and he redirected you in that moment. The crazy part is those are the people that I was kind of alluding to earlier, was like, I had these people in my life that was like, I was going this way, but then I went this way. And then I went this way, and then I went this way. And I think that's what's crazy about the journey is like, we are now those people for other people. We are now those people for so many people that we get to work with, where we get to help redirect their journey. And there's a show on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever done this, but it was a while ago, where you could watch the show and see different outcomes. So you could click back and watch the different outcomes. So like you could watch them going in this direction, dealing with whatever, and then you could rewind and be like, nope, we're gonna go this way, and just watch how the journey just fucked right up. Like it just got completely fucked. And if you wouldn't have met that guy wouldn't have stood up there, commanded your attention, would you have ended up in the same position? Maybe not.
Yeah.
And that's what's freaking crazy about this space that we're in, that we're with coaching people, is that we get to be that person for them, that redirecting navigational tool. And I love the how big of a deal that is. I love how much of a deal that is. And I take it, and just like you, for sure. You take it very seriously. Every call that you're on with your people that you're working with, you take very seriously, for sure. And it's just exciting to be a part of that. So I'm incredibly thankful to have met you, and I'm excited for you to present at the Contractor Connect Summit. That's gonna be badass, and keep changing people's lives. Is there anything you want to say before we finish this up?
No, man, I just appreciate you too, and I appreciate the community. Like, I am in your portal for I don't know what you call that, but it's like your group internet thing.
The online community.
And it's I'm on there. I reading other people's wins, man. It's just awesome. Like, I do get all the notifications, and I haven't turned them off. I open up and I read the emails about so and so closing a contract, and I think like that. Just even that, and I'm not even a contractor, it just shows like why people who are contractors should be in your industry. And it's not just because they're getting wins, it's both being around people who are getting wins and reading those wins. And that it's something, and not getting spiritual either, but I think it is on those same lines. It's like there's something about that that's going to pull you up and get you there. So find that guiding light, man. So great job. No, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm with you on the wins, and that's why we have that space in the community where it's the weekly check-in. It's not always rainbow, it's not always peaches, it's not always beautiful, but the point is that we all have our own shit, right? We're all dealing with our own shit, and to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with other people can be inspiring in so many different ways. So I'm glad it's hitting you too. That means it's working and it's effective, and that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on today. I'm sure we'll do this again sometime. And thanks to everyone for listening. If anybody wants to follow you, Tony, or find you, where can they connect with you? Yeah, easiest place is Instagram, I guess, at Tango1 Tony, at Tango1_Tony. We'll get you there. And look at that, you did that right on the screen, just like that. Wow. Yeah, so that's the best way to get me there, and I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you in Calgary, whether this is before or after. Either way, when they hear it, they'll either we're gonna kill it or we just did kill it. So looking forward to it, brother. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.